Husband's betrayal leads to a shocking discovery for investigators. Lori was born on December 31st, 1976, and was lovingly adopted by Thelma and Araldo Soares. Her parents met while serving as missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Faith played a vital role in Lori's upbringing, as her parents instilled in her a strong commitment to her beliefs. When her parents separated, Lori and her mother moved to Orem, Utah, about 40 miles south of Salt Lake City. At Orem High School, Lori was known for her organization, determination, and vibrant personality. Her high school years were significant not only academically but also personally, as this was when she met Mark Hacking. Their relationship blossomed quickly, and soon they were known around campus for their lively couple antics, attending every homecoming and prom together, just like any classic young couple in love. Mark, known for his caring and helpful nature, became a regular at Lori's home, often helping with errands and small repairs around her mother's house. His efforts endeared him to Lori's family, especially to her mother, Thelma. In fact, Lori's brother would often joke about feeling left out as Mark received so much attention from Thelma and Lori. Mark's charm and willingness to lend a hand truly made him part of the family, and Lori's relatives valued his kindness. Lori and Mark's early romance naturally grew into something more profound, and on August 7, 1999, they were married in Bountiful, Utah. By 2004, Lori was working as an assistant manager at a financial institution, while Mark, a recent graduate of the University of Utah, had been accepted to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill to pursue medical study. His acceptance was no surprise to those who knew him, as he came from a family steeped in academic excellence, with both his father and brothers working as doctors, and another brother holding a government position. That summer, the couple eagerly planned their move from Utah to North Carolina. Lori, 5 months pregnant at the time, was thrilled about the upcoming relocation and the life changes ahead. Her mother, Thelma, was equally excited and already imagining the joys of becoming a grandmother, hoping for a granddaughter with big, beautiful curls, just like Lori. However, their plans took a tragic turn. On July 19, 2004, Lori, then 30 years old, vanished without a trace. At approximately 5:15 a.m., she left for a morning jog at Memory Grove Park near City Creek Canyon and was never seen again. Each morning, Lori had a routine. She would head to work in Canyon City after her early jog. But that day, Lori never showed up, which was immediately concerning to her boss, who then contacted Mark, her husband. Alarmed by the news, Mark wasted no time and promptly called the police, reporting Lori's absence and sharing her intended jogging route. By 10:07 a.m., he was at Memory Grove Park, where she had last been seen, only to find her car parked in the lot, an ominous sign that something was terribly wrong. The atmosphere in Memory Grove Park was heavy and unsettling as Mark combed the area. Patrol officers already at the scene briefed him and the detectives on Lori's situation, fearing that she might have wandered too close to the canyon's edge and possibly suffered a fall or an injury in the dense woods. Given the rugged landscape and the steep canyon walls, officers felt that every minute mattered. Lori's pregnancy added a critical level of urgency, prompting them to bring in homicide detectives, though they hoped for the best. News of Lori's sudden disappearance sent shockwaves through the community, sparking a flood of support from friends, family, and concerned residents. Mark, visibly shaken and overwhelmed, made heartfelt public pleas for Lori's safe return. His emotional appeals reached the local media, who quickly amplified the story. Willing to speak to any reporter, Mark's hope was that increased attention might bring crucial leads. The Salt Lake City Police Department launched a large-scale search, rallying over 3,000 volunteers to comb through Memory Grove Park and its surroundings for any trace of Lori or signs of her whereabouts. Mark's LDS church congregation played a significant role in organizing the effort, with members pouring in to assist. Their presence and unwavering support offered Mark a measure of strength as he faced the mounting pressures of the investigation. With each hour that passed, the search took on a deeper urgency, uniting a community determined to find answers. Memory Grove Park was bordered by residential homes, creating a prime location for investigators to canvass, hoping someone might have seen Lori on her morning jog. Lori's dark, bushy curls were distinct, making her easily recognizable to anyone who might have encountered her that morning. The officers knocked on every door, speaking to residents and gathering any clues they could find, though responses were mixed, with little concrete information emerging. For a moment, A glimmer of hope surfaced when a local woman claimed she had seen Lori near the park entrance earlier that morning. However, this potential lead quickly dissolved when the woman retracted her statement, leaving detectives frustrated yet more determined. The Salt Lake City Police Department set up a command post at the entrance of Memory Grove Park, centralizing their efforts to coordinate the growing search. As tensions rose, Mark's brothers and Lori's mother arrived at the scene, anxious and eager to assist in any way they could. One of Mark's brothers suggested they investigate a homeless encampment deeper in the canyon. Concerned about potential threats from individuals living there, he expressed his fear that Lori's disappearance might be connected to someone in the area. Detectives took the suggestion seriously, aware of the importance of following every possible lead. They planned to visit the encampment and speak to anyone who might have information, hoping for a breakthrough in the case. Despite the leads they pursued, detectives knew they couldn't overlook the possibility of familiar relationships playing a role. Statistics suggested that, in many cases of missing persons, a partner or close acquaintance could be involved. Alongside this suspicion, detectives considered whether there was any truth to the possibility of a hidden relationship, something that could have led to a motive. Every aspect of Lori's life would need careful examination to shed light on her sudden disappearance. With permission from Mark, detectives entered the couple's apartment to retrieve a recent photograph of Lori, essential for the missing person flyers. Mark consented to a brief search of the premises, allowing them to look around. As they inspected the apartment, they noted the ordinary details of daily life, which stood in stark contrast to the mysteries surrounding Lori's absence. The detectives felt the weight of each observation as they sought anything that might unravel this unsettling puzzle. During their search, detectives found Lori's red purse in the apartment, which contained her wallet, identification, and credit cards. It was peculiar. Why would Lori have gone out for her usual morning run without taking her belongings, especially if she was driving to the park? The discovery added another layer of mystery to her disappearance, leaving investigators with more questions than answers as they pieced together her final known step. As the detective continued her search, her eyes fell upon a large bouquet displayed on the kitchen counter. It was an impressive arrangement, one that struck her as a potential apology gift, a gesture she'd often seen used by husbands to make amends. This detail made her wonder if there were any underlying tensions between Mark and Lori that had not yet surfaced, hinting at possible marital issues beneath the surface. Stepping into the bathroom, the detective was met with the unmistakable scent of bleach, and she quickly noticed how spotless the room was. The surfaces gleamed as though they had been scrubbed just moments before. This meticulous cleaning, combined with the strong disinfectant odor, struck her as more than routine. It seemed deliberate, perhaps an attempt to erase any lingering evidence, leaving her with a growing sense of unease. Moving to the bedroom, her attention was drawn to the new set of sheets on the bed. They still bore fresh creases and lacked any signs of washing or use, standing out as another unusual element in the household. Peering into Lori's jewelry box, the detective noticed Lori's wedding band left behind, a strange choice for someone recently married. She couldn't help but wonder why Lori, seemingly devoted to her relationship, wouldn't have worn it regularly. While these findings were purely circumstantial, they began to shape a troubling theory in the detective's mind about Mark's possible involvement in Lori's disappearance. Each seemingly minor detail, the bouquet, the spotless bathroom, the new sheets, and the untouched wedding band, began to form a collective picture that was hard to ignore. The pieces, although small, pointed to deeper questions about Lori's sudden absence and what might have led to it. As the search efforts expanded, multiple law enforcement agencies joined in, determined to uncover Lori's whereabouts. Specially trained K-9 units were deployed to scour Memory Grove Park, sniffing through the dense underbrush for any trace of her scent. Meanwhile, officers on horseback and bicycles navigated the rugged canyon paths, meticulously covering ground that was otherwise difficult to access. Above, helicopters outfitted with advanced cameras and heat sensors provided an aerial view of the park, leaving no area unchecked. Lori's disappearance had already left a heavy impact on her family and in-laws. Mark's father, Douglas Hacking, addressed the media, expressing his conviction that Lori had been taken against her will, pleading for anyone with information to come forward and help bring her home. Douglas Hacking, Mark's father, publicly shared the family's firm belief that Lori hadn't simply run away. Known for her reliability and devotion to her family, Lori was not someone who would vanish willingly. The entire family was gripped with worry, each person consumed by the fear for her safety. This deep anxiety cast a shadow over all their interactions as they awaited any sign of her whereabouts. At the police department, Mark sat down with a detective for a formal interview. When asked about his relationship with Lori, he insisted that their marriage was solid and that there were no issues between them. However, the mounting concerns around Mark's actions and inconsistencies in his story made this claim hard to believe. Mark explained that they had been packing up their belongings in preparation for a move to North Carolina, where he was set to begin his medical studies. This revelation caught the detective's attention, prompting her to ask Mark about his intended specialty. She listened carefully as he mentioned he planned to study oncology. Wanting to delve deeper and verify Mark's knowledge, she casually asked him to spell oncology. Mark surprisingly stumbled over the word, which raised a red flag. The detective began questioning if his aspirations of studying medicine were as genuine as he had claimed. Throughout the interview, the detective closely watched Mark's behavior. He appeared distressed, seemingly crying, but a closer look revealed an unusual detail. No tears actually fell. The lack of real tears made the detective wonder if Mark was attempting to project emotions he didn't truly feel. The display struck her as calculated, reinforcing her suspicions about his sincerity and intentions. While evidence was still circumstantial, the detective's intuition told her something tragic might have happened to Lori, and Mark might be responsible. Despite this growing suspicion, she held on to the hope that Lori could still be alive and waiting for help. This hope fueled the urgency of her investigation, pushing her to search for any clue that might shed light on Lori's fate. In the course of the investigation, detectives received permission to search Mark's red truck, a crucial part of their inquiry. As Mark stood nearby, the detective found a receipt on the seat dated the day Lori went missing. It was from a mattress store, showing that Mark had purchased a new mattress on the same day Lori disappeared. This discovery opened a flood of questions. Why would he be shopping for a new mattress while his pregnant wife was missing? The receipt added another layer of suspicion, leaving detectives with more questions than answers. Just as the detective was ready to question Mark about the mattress receipt, she noticed he had slipped away. Undeterred, she returned to Mark's apartment with renewed determination. This time, she brought a formal consent form, requesting Mark's signature to authorize a more comprehensive search. Mark agreed, signing the document, which allowed detectives to conduct a closer inspection of the home. Inside, the detective presented the receipt they'd found, pointing out the unusual timing of his mattress purchase. The detective's attention quickly shifted to the bed, where they observed a new mattress atop a mismatched box spring. The colors and prints clashed noticeably. This odd detail raised suspicions as the combination seemed hastily put together, hinting that one of the items had been recently acquired. When asked about the new mattress, Mark's reaction suggested discomfort, as though the question struck a nerve. Continuing their search through the apartment, detectives soon discovered something even more alarming. On the nightstand next to Mark's bed, several knives lay neatly arranged. One, in particular, was sheathed, standing out from the rest. With a closer look, the detectives removed it from its cover and noticed red stains on the blade, which appeared to be blood. Upon questioning, Mark claimed that the knife was for hunting, dismissing the stains as unremarkable. But the detectives weren't convinced. The discovery of the stained knife prompted them to halt their voluntary search and call in a specialized crime scene team determined to secure a warrant. They believed more than ever that something sinister might have happened within these walls, urging them to proceed cautiously but thoroughly. Outside, detectives took note of a dumpster located in the apartment's parking lot. When they checked inside, it appeared mostly empty. However, at the bottom lay an empty bedsheet package, along with 2 pillow wrappings and remnants from a mattress packaging. This discovery added weight to their suspicions and seemed to suggest Mark might have discarded more than just household items. The possibility that Lori's remains could be hidden at the landfill entered the conversation among investigators. The detective, convinced they should check the landfill, brought the idea to her sergeant. Unfortunately, her concerns were dismissed as too costly and impractical, leaving her with a frustrating sense of unfinished business as they pressed on with the investigation. On his way home, the sergeant made an unexpected stop at the LDS church that Mark and Lori had attended. In the church parking lot, a dumpster caught his eye. Curious, he investigated further and made a shocking discovery. Inside the dumpster lay a mattress with the pillow top cut off, matching the box spring description from Mark and Lori's home. This discovery aligned with the detective's earlier concerns, suggesting that Lori's body might indeed be located at the landfill. Meanwhile, the case took an unusual turn when officers on night watch reported that Mark had been spotted behaving erratically at a local motel. Witnesses described him as running around the motel parking lot completely naked. The bizarre incident added fuel to the growing suspicions surrounding Mark. heightening concerns about his potential involvement in Lori's disappearance. When an officer arrived on the scene, he found Mark acting in a disoriented manner, but noted an odd detail. Though naked, Mark had remembered to wear his shoes while running around. This small but telling detail led the officer to believe Mark's behavior was a deliberate act. Typically, a person genuinely in distress wouldn't have paid attention to details like footwear, reinforcing the idea that Mark might be staging his actions. To handle the situation, the officer called Mark's brother, who assisted in transporting him to the University of Utah hospital for further observation. As the investigation continued, detectives received an unexpected call from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. University officials informed them that Mark had not been registered in any oncology program as he'd claimed, nor was there any record of him ever being enrolled, casting further doubt on his credibility. Later that afternoon, a detective visited Mark at the hospital, hoping to gather more information. To her surprise, Mark displayed a complete shift in demeanor. He seemed relaxed and indifferent, contentedly eating pizza and watching television. His casual behavior sharply contrasted with the emotional distress he'd shown before, leaving the detective wondering about the sincerity of his earlier expressions of grief. During this interview, the detective repeated questions they'd previously discussed. Mark continued to insist that Lori hadn't returned from her morning jog, sticking firmly to his story. Mark's father, Doug, was also present, and at one point he leaned in, urging Mark to be honest if he was hiding something. Despite his father's pressing, Mark met his gaze firmly, maintaining that he had done nothing wrong and refusing to deviate from his original account. Doug held firm to his belief in his son's innocence, confident that Mark would never do anything to harm Lori. However, as detectives dug deeper, they uncovered a startling truth. Mark was never enrolled in medical school at the University of North Carolina. To bring more clarity to Mark's intentions, they shared this revelation with Thelma, Lori's mother, who initially dismissed the information as baseless speculation, refusing to believe that Mark could be dishonest. Thelma's stance began to waver, though, when detectives disclosed that Mark hadn't even graduated from the University of Utah, as he had claimed. This news left her reeling as she recalled small but telling details from the past. She remembered Mark's supposed graduation day when he excused himself, claiming illness, and missed the ceremony. Out of sympathy, she had later photographed him in his cap and gown at their apartment, never imagining he might have staged the entire event to cover his deceit. Initially, Thelma remained loyal to Mark, convinced that he would never hurt Lori. But, as the detectives shared more evidence, their theory that Mark had used lies and manipulation to hide his true life began to sound more plausible. They believed that he had pretended to be ill that day to avoid exposing his secret to his wife and mother-in-law, and that years of deceit had now caught up with him in the worst possible way. On July 20th, 2004, 24 hours into Lori's disappearance, a local store clerk reached out to detectives with new information. The clerk recalled that on the evening of July 18th, Mark and Lori had entered the store together, with Lori purchasing a soda. During their visit, Mark had acted oddly, quietly instructing the clerk not to let Lori know that he frequently bought cigarettes there. This interaction, though seemingly minor, struck the clerk as suspicious. Detectives reviewed the store's CCTV footage and confirmed the clerk's story. The video showed Lori, dressed in green scrub-style pants and a tan shirt, walking into the store with Mark. To investigators, this footage became significant as it provided the last confirmed sighting of Lori before her disappearance, raising even more questions about Mark's behavior that evening. As the search for Lori extended into its third day, hundreds of volunteers joined in, scouring the area for any signs of her. The relentless summer heat made the search even more grueling, with temperatures in the canyon reaching 100 degrees. Desperate for any information, Thelma issued a tearful plea to the public, begging for the safe return of her only daughter. Her words resonated deeply, urging anyone who knew something, however small, to come forward. The intense summer heat made the search for Lori challenging, but volunteers and law enforcement continued their mission undeterred. Meanwhile, Mark remained hospitalized following his mental health episode, and his brothers, growing increasingly skeptical of his involvement, confronted him once more. This time, the pressure led to a shocking confession. Mark admitted he had killed Lori. According to Mark, Lori had uncovered the truth. He was not a University of Utah graduate, nor was he accepted into medical school in North Carolina. This revelation devastated her, leaving her feeling betrayed and uncertain about their entire relationship. Fearing that Lori would leave him and possibly file for divorce, Mark made a drastic decision. He confessed to shooting Lori and disposing of her body in a dumpster. With this confession, detectives redirected their search efforts from the canyon to the nearby landfill, believing her body had been taken there. Over the next few days, nearly 36 officers arrived at the 10-acre landfill site, determined to locate Lori's remains. However, between the time detectives suspected Lori's body had been discarded and the landfill search, approximately 4,000 tons of waste had accumulated, posing a daunting challenge for the team. The search through the landfill was physically grueling and required careful coordination. Multiple agencies came together, using cadaver dogs and heavy machinery like earth movers to sift through the vast piles of trash. The specialized tools and expertise allowed the team to systematically narrow down the search area, heightening hopes of a breakthrough. On October 1st, 2004, at approximately 8:20 a.m., human remains were uncovered in the landfill. This discovery marked a pivotal moment in the investigation, offering a glimmer of closure in the otherwise grim search. The remains were handled meticulously, with forensic experts relying on dental records to confirm the identity. After a thorough examination, it was confirmed the remains belonged to Lori Hacking. For Lori's family, this identification, though heartbreaking, provided the answers they had been seeking. In April 2005, Mark Hacking pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, and on June 6, 2005, he was sentenced to a prison term of 6 years to life. This final chapter brought justice to Lori's memory and a degree of closure for her grieving loved ones. Following Mark Hacking's conviction, the Utah State Board of Pardons declared that he would not be eligible for parole until 2035. In response, Lori's family made the difficult decision to remove his last name from her headstone. For them, this choice was more than symbolic. It was a way to honor Lori's memory while reclaiming her identity independent of Mark. Removing his last name underscored Lori's strength and the integrity she maintained throughout her life. In the year following Mark's sentencing, troubling news surfaced from the Central Utah Correctional Facility in Gunnison, Utah, where he was serving his time. An investigation revealed that Mark had been involved in selling personal items online through a website called Murder Auction. Items ranged from hand-traced outlines to auto parts and other prison documents, all listed for profit. When questioned by prison officials, Mark initially denied his involvement, but as evidence grew, he agreed to stop his online sales. This incident cast a spotlight on prison oversight, with many voicing concerns over the system's ability to control such activities. For Lori's family, it was yet another painful reminder of Mark's betrayal and disregard for consequences. Public reaction to the news was swift, with many expressing frustration and disbelief that someone convicted of such a crime could still engage in these activities while incarcerated. The case reignited discussions on the need for stronger measures to prevent similar issues within the prison system and protect the integrity of victims' memories. As the years passed, Lori's family continued to cherish her memory, honoring the life she led before it was tragically cut short. For them, removing Mark's last name was not only a tribute to Lori, but also a firm stand against the legacy of deceit he left behind. Lori's memory endured, untouched by the actions that had stolen her away. The family's efforts and resilience ensured that Lori's spirit would remain unbroken, serving as an enduring testament to her character and the love her family continued to hold for her.